Everyone hear me? Okay, thank you for that, Ikobasi Enya. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone. My name is Chidozie Ferdinand, and I would be taking you the digital marketing class for the next 3 weeks, or three Sundays rather. Okay, we could just do a brief introduction of ourselves on the chat box while we proceed with the class. Just lay down a few ground rules so that we can understand ourselves better as this class progresses, right? Please let everyone put off their cameras and your put off your cameras and your microphones, please, so that we will not get distracted, right? We would have opportunities to ask our questions, and every other discussion that we would want to have, right, would give opportunities for that, right? But as the class is going on, please put off your microphones and your videos. For those of us just joining us, as I said, my name is Chidozie Ferdinand, and I'll be taking you the digital marketing class for the next 3 weeks, right? And we're just going to dive right into it. You can also confirm that everyone can see my screen. Okay, thank you for that. As I said, we'll just go straight into it. So before I continue, I want to ask, is there anyone here that has an idea of what digital marketing is? Or in fact, let me rephrase that. I want us to, in our own words, using the chat box, what is digital? What does digital marketing mean to you? Right? What does digital marketing mean to you? We're just going to do that in like 2 minutes. Or a minute 30 seconds. Just use the chat box. Feel free. What does digital marketing mean to you as a person? I'm sure you've come across different aspects of digital marketing, or you've come across that word digital marketing. So what does it mean to you? I hope everyone can hear me.
Okay, sir. Can I answer?
Yes, you can, please.
Okay, I would say digital marketing is an internet way or online way of selling or getting informations and the rest of it.
Okay, an online way of selling. I didn't get the last word you said.
Online way of selling products or distributing things that are needed, services or
Okay.
the rest.
Okay, so an online way of distributing products and services. Thank you for that. I didn't get your name.
Portia Josiah.
Josiah.
Josiah Portia.
Osha, okay. Thank you for that. Ikobasi Enya says digital marketing simply means promoting products, services, or brands using the internet and digital tools. Now, the truth is, for everyone who has answered, both Ikobasi and Josiah, both of you are correct, right? Digital marketing is basically, in its basic form, right, is using the internet, digital tools to promote goods and services. brands, because aside, as we're going to be looking at in the course of this, as we take on this course, we're going to see that more than just products or services, where we are today with regards digital marketing and promotion is actually on brands. A brand could be anything, right? But we're just going to dive into it as we progress with the course. Okay, so we're going to be looking at today, we're going to be looking at the introduction to digital marketing, and then we'll do a bit on content marketing, or we're going to do content marketing. So we're going to be looking at the introduction of digital marketing, and then we go into content marketing, right? So let's go straight into it. So what really is marketing? As we've already given okay, I can also see other people dropping. Just drop your own views on what marketing is. We're going to go through it. I'm going to go through it later, right? Or we'll just go straight to the class. Now, before marketing became what we know it to be, right? Before we started talking about digital marketing, rather, marketing was done traditionally. I know we all remembered we can remember in our primary school when we were taught that the first form of buying and selling was trade by barter, right? So let's say, for example, I had one yam, or this year I grew yams, and I wanted to prepare maybe a food, and at that moment, what I wanted to do, I needed tomato. I would go to the market or meet someone who had said, okay, or who I know that is planted tomatoes for this year, and I would go and exchange maybe a tuber of yam or 2 tubers of yam for some amount of tomato, right? The only way that I would have known that that person was producing tomato is through awareness. And how was this done, right? It was done physically. People had to go to they use by words of mouth, right? They would gather in a particular location physically, right? And then there's an exchange of goods and services by trade. That's trade by barter, right? The trade was done by barter. You bring this, I give you this, you understand, depending on the value. Now, as we go into digital marketing proper, we're going to explore and understand what marketing is. So in the next few steps, we're going to understand the history of marketing, right? How it got to where we are before we got to digital marketing. How from this trade by barter, which was also marketing, right? Because I mean, for you to understand, for you to know that your neighbor or whoever had that product you're looking for, awareness had to be created. There had to be a location for this to happen. And these are all elements that you would still see in today's marketing, right? What has changed is the tools. So we're going to look briefly at the history of marketing, and we're just going to breeze through. Okay, so first, in the ancient times, as I said earlier, traders used word of mouth, symbols, strategic locations, physical locations, and that's what they used to attract buyers. Early branding, in this sense, like in the ancient times, was through unique marks on pottery and goods. Even on this time, if you follow, let me say you've watched you are a fan of Nat Geo Wild or any of these archaeologist stations, you would see that the way that they used to mark nations from the past, let me say from maybe the Egyptians or any other nation that they are bringing up, let me say pottery or goods, they are unique letterings, they are unique marks on them, and that's how marketing was done, right? That's what made one brand distinct. Once you saw this mark on, let me say, a piece of pottery, or you saw it on something, you just knew, okay, this is where this place is originating from. Maybe it's from the Greek or it's from the Egyptians, right? And visual storytelling was the tool that was used then, rather. So people use their word of mouth, they told stories, tales by moonlight. All these were forms of marketing. They were trading both their culture, they were trading both goods and services or their personalities, right? So in the ancient times or early practices, marketing was done by visual storytelling and then barter systems. And this is the way they built their trust and awareness. Awareness was done through visual storytelling, right? We moved straight to the 18th century. And here we see Josiah Wedgwood, who is acclaimed to be the father of modern marketing. And why is he acclaimed to be the father of modern marketing? He was a Portuguese entrepreneur and he pioneered luxury branding, celebrity endorsements, customer testimonials, market segmentation. So instead of doing marketing in the normal way that it was, he gave it a kind of class. There was a segmentation. Okay, so this good is for premium, and the way we have it now. And Joshua Wedgwood is acclaimed to be the father of modern marketing, right? He was the one who pioneered every form of marketing that we see, right? So here, marketing became a strategic tool to boost product and value sales. Instead of just being a means of exchange of, let me say, value or services, right? Of a means of exchange of goods or services, rather. Marketing here was now used as a strategic tool to boost value and sales, right? And then we move straight to the late 19th century, and here is the actual birth of marketing. It gained popularity here in describing buying and selling. We had departmental stores, catalogs, national brands emerged rather, and there was a form of organized advertising and mass distribution. No longer were people doing it individually, but it was now organized advertising. I mean, people now had to come together. They had newspapers, they had catalogs, and you put your products there, and there's one form of people are going to buy when people buy the catalog, when people buy those magazines, they see the product. So it was organized, right? We're just, as I said, we're just going to breeze through this. The early 20th century, marketing, it was introduced into universities, and so it became an academic discipline. There are a whole lot of technicalities that came into it. We had the development of textbooks, patterns people tried to understand patterns and core marketing theories, right? And there was so much emphasis on distribution, demand creation, and product flow. And then we moved to the mid 20th century, where we saw consumer behavior now became, people now became more interested on understanding consumer behavior, right? And as we go down into even digital marketing today, we're going to see that one thing that has remained constant is that for you to carry out a successful marketing campaign, right, you need to understand your user. You need to understand the consumer. You need to understand their behavior, right? And so this became more prevalent in the mid 20th century. Right? We also saw the rise of TV, radio, and the mass advertising, and all this shaped the different strategies of that time. And we moved to the 1970s, and just like others, consumer-centric marketing and segmentation, marketing became more about the users, the end users, than just putting anything out there, right? It became more about the people who are using it. Now we saw the early database marketing using computer systems. There was heavier reliance on TV, radio, print, and then print to target audience. Right? So people started using TV, radio, print, and all these mediums to target audience. Marketing was not just, it wasn't just this generalized thing. People were now very intentional about how to get their target audience. And here, mid 1970s, it became a broader scope. It was recognized as a universal human activity beyond just business, right? If you recall when I started, I said that aside from just products and services, one of the things that you market is brand. See, I'll tell you for free that as you are, right, as a person that you're a brand. And whether you are intentional about marketing your brand or building your brand, you are actually selling your brand out there, right? So you need marketing here in the mid 1970s moved from just being about products and services, and then it became a universal human activity. People, whether you have a product or service, it became more about the person, that personality, how the other person is viewing you, right? It became a broader scope. And so it was recognized as a universal human activity outside just business, right? Beyond business, it was actually something that happened every day, right? So in the 1980s, we saw the emergence of relationship marketing and CRM systems. So we had more focus on customer retention and lifetime value, right? Which is the PLV. We saw an emergence of direct mail, telemarketing, and loyalty programs. All these gained a lot of popularity in the 1980s. Right. You can go over, we're going to go over this, maybe you can go over it later or your own time and then try to understand it. I'm just trying to go through so we go into digital marketing proper. And in the 1990s, the internet went public, and with the internet, we saw the emergence of email marketing, search engines, banner ads, early commerce. And Amazon here is given as the example because they are one of the biggest first organizations to start. In fact, they are the first organization to start e-commerce. So in the 1990s, with the internet came email marketing. People started sending email at first and saw that, okay, more than just sending email or letters to people, I can actually create awareness for my good, my service, for my brand with this tool, right? With the email. And so email marketing emerged. Search engines, you go to the internet, you want to search for something, still like what we have today. You see the ads popping up, right? But this was where it started. This was the emergence. And in the early 2000s, it's described as the digital marketing boom. Here we saw the launch of Google Ads, yes, in 2000. I know some of us are very shocked because of we think it's a recent thing. No, marketing has this marketing as we see it or as we know it. I mean, has been it's been in inception for a very long time, right? We saw the growth in content marketing here, email campaigns, blogging, and then tools for web analytics and return on investment, which is ROI tracking, emerged. Right. So instead of people in the past, people would just do their marketing campaigns and they weren't sure. It was more like a 50-50 thing. You're not sure, maybe you could not calculate the return on the investment that you've made. Right. You may say, or if we're trying to liken it to our present day, right? Social media has made it easy for us to do a whole lot of content and you put it out there, right? But the truth is, time is actually a very expensive commodity, right? So you need to be able to track one very key element of digital marketing is being able to track how far your marketing campaign has gone, its impact. Is it actually generating the required solutions that you want? Is it getting you the returns that you want, right? And in the 2000s was where analytics came up, web analytics came up, and people were able to track their return on the investments that they've made, right? Then in the mid 2000s, the rise of social platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and everything. We also saw search engine optimization, which is SEO, pay-per-click marketing also came on the rise, and then mobile optimization became critical, right? Then in the late 2000s, the introduction of iPhones, and with the introduction of iPhones and every other phone, right, that iPhones basically, it now became imperative for people to make marketing mobile first, right? In line with that whole creation of the iPhone, people were on the move. You will be with your phone, and so it became imperative. It became very, very important that the marketing strategies at that time became it had to be aligned to the mobile phone. Right, being mobile, as you're on the move, you want to be able to see it, and we can still see it today. So this was the start of all things that we have today as regards digital marketing. So we also saw the start of marketing automation with tools like HubSpot and a whole lot of other tools. In 2000, it shifted to omni-channel personalized marketing experiences rather. So what this means basically is, I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you go to Google this week and you type a particular topic. Let's say, for example, data analysis, or you type digital marketing, for example, and then you now go to Facebook and they're giving you ads which related to digital marketing, maybe courses. You are seeing tools. You're seeing ads related to tools, that concerns digital marketing, tools that you can use for digital marketing, right? So that's the whole omni-channel. Marketing here has become personalized to you. What you are seeing is different from what the other person is seeing. It's different from what the ads that are coming up on the other person's timeline, right? And that's the whole omni-channel. It became personalized to what the user right? What the user needs, what the user wants. We also saw the boom in video content, influencer marketing, and UGC. These are some terms that we're going to be using in the course of this, as we progress in this course, right? UGC means user generated content, right? And just simply means you put in your camera. I mean, you don't need any big value. There's no whole organization and then there's a set of processes. It has become so easy these days that you just pick up your phone, boom, the lights are on and you're already creating content, right? You're marketing something, you're marketing your ideas, you're marketing your brand, you're marketing your product, right? So in the 2010, around 2010 was when we saw the boom here, and then we also saw big data and predictive analytics drive campaign, right? So the whole analytics drive that started before, we saw another boom in it here. And then by the late 2010s to 2020s here, we've seen the focus on data privacy laws, that is general data protection regulation, right? Because data has now become a whole lot, a very large amount of data is created on a per second base every day. So there was a need for data privacy laws, and this came around from 2010 to 2020, right? We saw the rise of chatbots, voice assistants, smart tech, push toward ethical and value-based marketing. And then today, you will all agree with me that marketing is now AI driven. Copies, visuals, targeting, everything is now powered by AI. Right? Marketing is done in real time and it is highly personalized. Remember the example I gave you of you going to search for something on Google and then you are seeing that same niche everywhere. It's like sometimes, I don't know if you've ever thought, are these people monitoring me through my phone? No, they're doing that by the data that you've given. The past, you always see something on your phone, something like they tell you accept these cookies. The data that you give them, right, is what they are using to generate those contents for you. They're using it to personalize those contents for you with what would interest you, right? So marketing today is done in real time. It is highly personalized, and one of the most important things is that it is powered by short form content. Right? Are you growing up? I know so many of us. There are so many ads we see on TV. In fact, 2 or 3 minutes long ads. We don't see that any more these days, right? Especially on the age of the social media. A second, 2 seconds. I mean, 1 minute is enough to pass out a message about a product or ad, right? And so marketing today is powered by short form content that we see in social media platforms like the Instagram Reels or TikTok or Facebook, right? So here are some definitions of marketing. I'm just going to skip this and we're going to go straight into marketing, or what digital marketing is. So as we said earlier, right, digital marketing is the strategic use of digital channels, technologies, and platforms to identify, anticipate, and satisfy customer needs by creating, communicating, and delivering valuable offerings in a way that drives engagement, builds relationships, and achieves business objectives profitably. If we had gone through the other definitions of marketing, we're going to see how we got to this place. But one thing that you need to understand is that the goal of marketing is to identify, to anticipate, and satisfy customer needs. You must be able to know that, okay, this user, this my target audience, right? With the data I've collected, these are the products that they are going to be of interest to them, right? These are the things that, let me say, these are the brands that they want to see. These are the kind of videos they want to see, right? Especially these days when we have a whole lot of communities, right? You must be able to understand and you must be able to identify, first off, anticipate and satisfy those customer needs. And the way you do this is by creating, communicating, and delivering valuable offerings. Notice I did not say goods or services here. Valuable offerings. That's because value can come in any way. You should not limit. One thing I don't want you to do is limit your mind that it's only when you have an actual physical product or a service, right, that you are doing marketing. No. I'm sure most of us spend more than, if you go to our this tracker on our phone, we're going to see that we spend most of our time on social platforms, right? And then we're watching skit makers, content creators. We're laughing all the time. TikTok, different contents are everywhere, right? That is marketing. It is of value to you. After a long day of work, you want to come back, put your relax, just go through, put your head a little bit down. That is value to you. That content at that moment that is making you laugh is a valuable offering to you. And so the way we are going to identify, anticipate, and satisfy customer needs in, like, more importantly, is by creating, communicating, and delivering valuable offerings in a way that will drive engagement, build relationship, and achieve business objectives profitably. Right? As we go over, we're going to be hearing words like call to action, CTAs. These are ways that you don't just put up a marketing campaign there or any content out there without putting a call to action. We're going to go into this later, right? As we progress in this course, we're going to see what the CTA mean and how we can apply it, right? But just understand that you don't want to put up gone are the days when you're just putting up strategies there and you're like, okay, will it work or not? No, you need to be sure. And the only way you do that is by getting data and using that data well, right? And then you use it to create content that will drive engagement, build relationship, and achieve business objectives profitably. Now, just like traditional marketing, digital marketing revolves around understanding the customer and delivering value. Remember, I said one of the most important elements is the user. For you to carry out a successful marketing campaign, you must understand your user, understand your target audience. The only difference is that you're doing it online. But you see the fact that you need to understand those people that you're making those goods for. If not, you would end up creating goods or content that would not serve any purpose. So before you start up any marketing campaign, before you start up any content you want to create, before you set up your ring lights, have an understanding of, okay, these are the people that I'm doing this content for. This is my target audience. Is it ladies? Is it men? Is it guys? Is it youth? Is it the Gen Z? Are we talking of the millennials? You must have a target audience. You must have an intention of, or a people that you visualize in your head, and you're like, this is the ideal person I'm making this content for. And when this person sees it, they're able to relate to it, they're able to connect to it, and then you build trust over time. When you now do that content on and on and on again, you create a community, you create a fan base, and it goes on like that. So the way we do digital marketing is through online means, and these online means include websites, social media, search engines, email, mobile apps, online advertising, and data and analytics tools. Very importantly, right? Data and analytics, very important. And you can see this thing everywhere. On your Twitter, on Facebook, you go to what's it called now? You go to where you want to see how your content have performed, right? When you make a post on Twitter, you want to see how that content has performed. There's actually a button there for you to do that, right? And you're able to see, okay, how many people have been able to see these content I've put out, how many people were able to watch it, how many people saw it, and a whole lot. The only way you do that is through the data and analytics, right? So marketing or digital marketing is both an art and a science. It requires creativity, storytelling, and branding on one side, data analysis, automation, and strategic thinking on another side, right? So marketing is a mix of both art. It's a mix of both art and science. Now let's look at the importance of digital marketing. Digital marketing is very important in today's business world, and this is because it allows brands to connect with their audience more directly, right? Different from from, or moving away from how it was done traditionally. Today, brands can now understand who their audiences are, who their target audience is, what do they want to see. You make a post on your page on Twitter or on Instagram, and then you're following up, you're looking at the content, you're looking at the comment section rather, and you're seeing what they are saying, you're seeing their feedback, you're getting responses in real time. So digital marketing is one of the importance is that it allows brands to connect with their audience more directly, efficiently, and affordably. You can, without, at little or no cost, right? At little or no cost, you can carry out a marketing campaign using social media platforms. Whether it's through social media, search engines, or email, businesses can now reach their potential customers. And that is one of the most important things that digital marketing has been able to do, right? Now let's look at as I said, some reasons why digital marketing is important. You are able to get a wider reach at a lower cost compared to traditional forms of marketing that we had in the past. People are now able to get more audience. You're able to get a larger audience. You're looking at some videos or some content you see online, you're seeing 2 million plus, 2 billion plus. Do you know the amount of eyes that have seen that? Right? So you're getting a wider reach at a lower cost. And all this is possible just because of digital marketing. Right? Another thing is targeted marketing. Digital tools allow marketers to tailor their messages to specific audiences. You know, when you understand that this is what your community wants, this is what your fan base, or these are the people, this is what your customers or clients want, right? It gives you more precision in creating content, in carrying out your marketing strategies, in carrying out your marketing campaigns. It is now specific to a certain demographic. For example, you know that if you sell bags, you do beauty, let me say you're into fashion, you're into women fashion, for example, and then you sell bags, you do hairs. It will not make sense that you do not have a social media account. More so, you don't have an Instagram account where you are posting, you're updating people, right? Because that is where it happens. That's where you're going to see your target audience, right? The interest and behavior are specific to different demographics. They are specific to different people, and that's what digital marketing has been able to help us do. Is now marketing is now targeted to certain people. It's now specific to the audiences that it needs to get to, right? Another thing is it avails for real-time interaction. Unlike the past, when you put out an ad on the TV, you don't know how people perceive it. When you put out content these days, especially through the social media platform, you go straight to the, in fact, I'm sure most of us here, right? Most of us here, when we see content, more people will say the main content is in the comment section, right? You go to the comment section straight up, you want to understand what people are saying about that content. So there's real-time interaction now, and all that is possible through digital marketing, right? We now have more measurable results, and it gives us a competitive edge. Because of the way the digital space is rapidly evolving, right? You need to stay updated with trends and tools. Businesses can no longer rely on, let me say, what was relevant a month ago. In fact, a week ago, sometimes a trend comes up like the next week or the next day, another trend is up. And if you're not on it, you've missed out that whole opportunity to market your good, your product, or your brand, right? So it gives you a competitive edge. Digital marketing gives us a competitive edge in the sense that you are able to understand or see in real time those trends. You're able to follow up the trends, right, in real time. And so businesses now have a greater edge over their competitors, those that actually key into digital marketing, the proper digital marketing strategies, right? They have a competitive edge over their competitors. Now we're going to be looking at the core areas of digital marketing. So far, I hope everyone can follow me. Everyone has been following up.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you for that feedback. Right, so we're going to be looking at the 5 core areas of digital marketing. Right, as a digital marketer, there are 5 core areas with which you can function and specialize. Digital marketing in its sense is very broad, right? I know that yes, you see a whole lot of digital marketing. Though right now, people are now beginning to niche up. Right, when I say niche, they now begin to specify what they actually are. The truth is, as a digital marketer, right, you cannot be a jack of all trades. And we're going to be looking at that. There are different areas of digital marketing, but these are 5 core areas, right, that pertains to digital marketing. Number one is search engine optimization, SEO. I'm sure we've all seen that come up. We've seen that title, SEO all the way. So what really is SEO? Search engine optimization, or SEO, is the process of improving a website visibility on search engines like Google. It involves optimizing content, website structure, and backlinks, right, to help sites appear higher in search results when users search for relevant keywords. Basically, right, is a way search engine optimization is a way of increasing a website's visibility. There are a whole lot of competitors, there are a whole lot of websites that are struggling for you to see. So when you put up, let me say you put a search on Google search engine right now, you're going to see on the first page, you're going to see, let me say about 10 or 11 results, right? The way that those results are ranked, the whole process of you seeing, it doesn't just happen that it's first come, first serve. No, there are certain elements, there are certain things you need to put in place, there are certain things you need to understand so that your website, so that your blog, your article will be able to be ranked first, right? And so that whole process is what search engine optimization is. And those who do this are called search engine optimizers. There are different type of optimization platforms now that people have. In fact, right now where we are, we have AI optimizers, if you want to put it that way, right? Because I mean, with ChatGPT and the likes of Gemini and every other artificial intelligence tool that we have, there's also, you're also putting up questions there and they are bringing up results, right? The way that your own business will be one of the maybe results that is given there is also optimization, right? Basically, what you want, the goal of search engine optimization is to drive organic free traffic. You're not paying for it, right? You just need to follow some tools which we're going to be looking at over these few weeks, right? There are some elements and tools that you need to follow to be able to see that your website is ranked high, right? And the next is search engine marketing. That's the next core area of digital marketing. Now, unlike search engine optimization, the difference from search engine optimization and search engine marketing is that search engine optimization is organic, it is free. Once you follow the rules, you follow the things that have been stated down, you make your website user friendly, you use the right keywords, right? When we go into search engine optimization, you're going to understand this and use the right keywords, right? Your website is ranked automatically, right? Once it's favorable to what people want to see, it is ranked. There's a process and there are things that the search engine uses, right? And then it's ranked. But search engine marketing is paid. You have to pay for it. And one of the biggest platforms that we use or that we know is Google Ads. The way it works is that you use Google Ads to increase your visibility on search engines. So those ads that you see popping up on your YouTube, when you're watching your YouTube video, if you're not using a paid plan, or you're in a site and you're seeing those ads popping up, it is paid. And that is search engine marketing, different from search engine optimization. Now, unlike SEO, which is organic, search engine marketing includes paid search, as I said, that show up at the top of search results when users type certain keywords. Right? The goal of search engine marketing is to get quick visibility and traffic by paying for keyword-based ads. That is advertisement on platforms like Google. That's just the difference from search engine optimization and search engine marketing, right? But and those in your mind, you may be thinking, okay, why would I just go with the more affordable one, which is search engine optimization? We're going to see that later, right? As a business, you don't want to rely on just the organic form of marketing, right? You need to make a little bit of an input in terms of capital, right? And I mean, it's a race for first come, first serve in a certain way, right? So that's where search engine marketing comes in. It's now more paid. It's I mean, it's a paid version of optimizing or saying that your website, your goal, your products or services are brought to those your target audience. The next core area of digital marketing is social media marketing, right? And social media marketing, it doesn't need much explanation. It's the use of social media platforms. We all know Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, Twitter, which is now X, and TikTok, to promote products or services or brands, right? When I mean products or services, understand that brands. And when I mean brand, I mean you as a person, the thing you do. You understand? So social media marketing is basically using social media platforms to promote your brand. It includes organic content and paid ads, right? So you can use organically, like the free version. You can just create the content and put up there, right? But when you now want to get a wider reach, you have to pay. Right? So social media marketing is not just about creating content and just putting out there and then doing abracadabra and you're seeing people's views are growing. No, there are certain steps that they follow. And then for those who engage, who want to use the paid ad platforms to have a wider reach, right? So it's also one of the options there. One of the good things about social media marketing is that you build a community, you drive conversions in real time, right? You post a content, you post your product, you are able to build a community, right? And many of us, for example, I'm sure we all know, let me see, one of the skit makers, Tauma, right? We see skit makers like, I'm trying to remember one other, Nick and Luxury B. There are a whole lot of skit makers out there, right? And they have a community. And all this has been able to be achieved through the social media platforms, right? So social media platform is just a way of promoting your goods or services or brands using social media marketing rather is a way of promoting your goods or services using social media platform. The goal of social media marketing is to build brand awareness, engage with your audience, and drive traffic or sales through social platforms, right? So let's move to the next one, email marketing. Email marketing is another core area of digital marketing and is the practice of sending targeted messages to a group of people via email. I'm sure each and every one of us here, right, if we are very diligent about checking our emails, you will see some things that you subscribe for, you call newsletters. They come in maybe bi-weekly or fortnightly, maybe twice in a week, twice in a year, but it's constant, right? And it's targeted. Let me say, for example, you went for a particular niche, or you went to a product, you went to an organization site, and you put your email there. That is the way they get it, and that's the way they get your email, and then they now send targeted messages to you over time, right? One of the advantages of email marketing is that it is more personalized and it's used to share updates, promote offers, nurture leads. When I say nurture leads, you are building up your target audience in a way, right? You're not just bringing that product to them automatically, you're taking them through a process, right? Most times those newsletters, you may not see the call to buy something immediately or a value to buy, right? But with time, you're going to see that seeping. You're going to see them offering you a product or a service, and they're telling you, okay, get this. right? Or subscribe to get this, and then you put your email there, and then you got it, and you get the value, right? One of the good things of email marketing is that it's cost effective and it's highly customizable. As I said, it is very personal. You can customize it to a certain group of people, right? And the goal here is to build and maintain relationships with potential and existing customers through personalized communication. And then finally, the last, or one of the fifth core area of digital marketing that we're going to be looking at for the purpose of this course is going to be content marketing, right? Content marketing. Now, one thing I want to say is that you see, every other aspect of marketing cannot move without content. Whether it is written content, whether it's a video content, whether it's an audio content, it is a content. And so content marketing is one of the key basics of marketing. Right? You must understand content marketing. You must understand content and how to create it, how to put the right content to the right audience, right? For you to be a successful digital marketer. Because whatever you're doing, whichever platform you're using, it is content. The content that you put out there is what determines, that's the value. The way you are able to express your product, your brand, is content. And so it's important that you understand content marketing. It's also a very important core area of digital marketing. Here, content marketing involves creating and distributing valuable, relevant content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience. Take note, a clearly defined audience. You must understand your user. I'm going to reiterate it again. It cannot be oversaid. And for you to carry out a successful marketing campaign, you must understand your user. And the goal here is to use valuable content to attract, educate, and convert potential customers without directly selling. Right? Imagine, I'm sure most of us, we follow up a lot of these kit makers because we're enjoying their content. And today they'll post something and then they tell you, get this, and immediately, because of they've built trust with you over time. They have a community of people over time. It's one of such people. However, there are a whole lot of skit makers out there that we can relate to, right? We can put up the names of skit makers there. But the thing is, you're not how do I put it? They don't bring the product to you at first and just they're creating the content and they're telling you, come and buy this. No. Right? It comes gradually. It's something that happens with time. So they use the valuable content to attract, educate, and convert potential customers without directly selling. But in a way, they're also selling their brand to you. And by the time, the first thing that content marketing does is that it builds trust. And by the time that trust is built, they're now able to sell products exponentially. They can now sell products on and on and on and on again, right? Because they've had a community that is now standard, that they say when this person says go, they go, right? I don't know if anybody here is a Ratel community, right? You all understand what I mean. I know those who are in the Ratel gang, or what's his name again? Very Dark Man. Yes, Very Dark Man. So those are different kind of communities that have been built. Every community has their name, and over time, at first they don't bring anything to sell for you. There's nothing that they're going to be selling. You're just creating content and you're enjoying it. You're following them up. You follow their content. Everything that pops up, you follow. But over time, you see them selling products to you, and you say, okay, I trust this person, someone you've not met, someone you've not seen, because you've been able to relate to that person's content. So content marketing is a very key area of digital marketing, right? Is a very key area of digital marketing. Now, over the next few weeks, we're going to try to look at all these areas that I've mentioned. Right. So far we've been able to look at the introduction of digital marketing. We've looked at the 5 core areas of digital marketing. We've looked at the importance of digital marketing. And then next, we're going to proceeding to the next part of this class, which is content marketing. Right. We're going to be looking at content marketing. And why you may ask, why are we starting with content marketing? Remember, I said that for every other marketing strategy or campaign or platform you're going to use, it is content that you're promoting. And so content is key. Content is king, as I love to say, right? So what is content marketing? We've already looked at that before. It's a strategic marketing approach that is focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, right? And ultimately drive profitable customer action. All this big English we're seeing is basically what we're saying is content marketing is a way of creating things that you relate to. You see a video, you see a write-up, and you relate to this thing. Your mind tells you, okay, this person is saying something that resonates with my own frequency. And then there is a key word I want you to get here: consistent content. Let me use, for example, Brain Jotter, right? In fact, all skit makers have their clothes that once you just see them, you're able to know that this is that skit maker. Or you can tell once you when you see a certain type of content, you already know where this content is being derived from, right? So your content has to be consistent for you to build a community, especially with regards social media platforms, right? You must be consistent in your market. You must be able to identify a niche and then you build on that niche. You're not a jack of all trades. Today you are doing poetry, tomorrow you are doing music. Next tomorrow, when they come to your page, is another thing that you are selling. No, you're not going to build, because people cannot relate. They don't know what to expect. Trust comes with consistency. Trust comes with relatability. People want to be able to understand and feel connected to that thing. And the only way that they will have that connection to it is when it's consistent. When there's a consistent content that they understand. They just know that maybe when you want to laugh, you can immediately think of a page that you're going to, where you're just going to go to that page or search that person's name, and you know that you're going to laugh for the next 15 or 20 minutes, right? So content must be consistent. And then ultimately, everything that you're doing should drive profitable customer action. Let's look at some reasons why content is important. As I said earlier, why content is king, right? Number one is that it educates or informs your audience. Whatever content, whatever platform that you're using, right? Your content must be able to educate and inform your audience on the type of value that you're offering, or the product that you're offering, or your brand. And so content educates or informs your target audience. Another thing is that it builds trust and authority. Remember that I said that before any sales will happen, right? Before you when I give the example of your skit makers, right, and people who are content creators, before they start selling to you, you will see that they have built over a time, maybe a year, sometimes, or 6 months, a year, 2 years, before you even see the first sales there. Not that they're not generating any revenue from maybe posting and all that, no. But before they can tell you, okay, come and get this thing, and then you go and buy it, right? They must have created a level of trust with you. You're able to know that once you come online, you are seeing this person's content, and this is the kind of content you are seeing, right? They are creating LMC with regards to authority, and then LinkedIn, right? For those of us who are very consistent on LinkedIn, in the professional world, right? You position yourself, the kind of content you're putting out there should position you as an authority in that field, right? For example, I'm a human resource professional I'm a human resource personnel by profession, right? Look at my LinkedIn page, you're going to see content that relates to human resources. I'm telling people, okay, so this is the best way to position your CV. This is the best way. These are best practices for HR managers in organizations. This is how managers should treat employees. This is how employees should treat managers. By the time I keep up with that kind of content over a period of time, right? And then let me say in a year or 6 months, not even a year, 6 months, and I'm saying, okay, so there's this HR tool that would optimize or make your work easier. the community I've built, and because of the trust they've had in the kind of content I've put out there, there will be more um they'll be more willing to buy that product or that offering that I'm making, right? Another reason why content is very important is that it improves search engine optimization and organic visibility. If you took note of when I was explaining search engine optimization, the brief explanation I gave, I told you that it involves you using the right keywords. Those keywords are written contents, right? So your whole your website or your blog must be user friendly. When we say user friendly, you search, there are certain keywords that you put in your questions or your queries, as it's called, right? The technical language, the queries that you put on your search engine, right? You say, okay, and where can I get the best amala in Abuja, and or the amala spots in Abuja, and then restaurants come up, right? If that organization or that website or that blog site was the keyword, maybe amala was not there, right? Let me say, for example, you sell amala and someone has put that kind of um someone has put that kind of query out there, and in your whole blog there is no word that says amala there, and you sell like amala is one of the things you sell, you've lost that customer, you've lost that risk, right? So one of the importance of content is it improves search engine optimization. By the time you're able to use the right content and you harness it well, right, you're able to have organic visibility. You don't have to pay in the right sense of it to get awareness or be visible, right, online. Another thing is that it supports all other digital marketing efforts. I remember I've reiterated this on and on again. Every other digital marketing effort relies on content. Everything that you're putting out is a form of content. As I said, whether written, audio, visual, it's all content, right? It's all content. So it supports every other digital marketing platform and campaigns. Now let's briefly look at some types of contents. Contents could come as blog posts or articles, which are written contents. Infographics. Now infographics are very short pictures that are able to pass on a message. You mostly see infographics on LinkedIn, right? And you just scroll through. You just you swipe. They tell you maybe swipe left. You also see it on Instagram. You see maybe that swipe left or swipe right, right? Those are infographics. And you just see pictures and then call texts and a little information, and like in 3 pictures you can understand a message has been passed along to you, right? Another form of content is short form videos, and you see this with reels and TikToks. And long form videos, you see it on YouTube, ebooks and guides, social media posts, newsletters. All these are forms of content. Now we're going to be looking at a very, very important aspect of digital marketing, which is understanding your buyer intent or intention, right? Understanding buyer intent. Now, what is buyer intent? Remember, I've said that for you to successfully carry out a marketing campaign or any marketing strategy, one thing that must be there, one thing that must be in your mind is the target audience that you're making this value for, that you're creating this content for, right? That is one thing that must be prevalent in your mind. Over the time, we're going to hear me use the word personas. A buyer persona, that is someone that it's a makeup in your mind of the ideal target audience that your value, that valuable offering is for. Maybe it's a product, it's a service, or it's any form of valuable offering, right? You must understand what the intention of that buyer will be. For example, in search engine optimization, when I said the queries, when you put up your queries, for you to be able to carry out a successful search engine or successfully optimize your blog post or website for the search engine, you must put yourself in that buyer's shoe, in your target audience shoes, or in their mind. What are the kind of questions that they will ask that would bring up your content, and then you put those keywords in your blog or your article, and that's just how it works. Once those keywords or what they've asked matches in it's able to is seen in your content, and the search engine use there are some things they call crawlers, right? And they're able to identify it. Your blog post or your article is pushed forward, right? And then people see it. So you must understand the intention of the buyer. I said here that buyer intent refers to the reason behind the potential customer's actions online. Why is that customer presently in that site? Why is he on that YouTube page? Why is he on your page? Right? It's the whole reason why as to why a customer is taking any action that the person is taking online. It helps marketers create and serve the right content at the right time. Right? It's not just giving the right content, but at the right time, based on where the buyer is in their journey to making a purchase decision. Right? When I say purchase, it doesn't mean that it has to be. Remember, I said it mustn't be an actual good or service, right? If the content you're putting out there is skit, you're a skit maker, you are actually selling. You are selling your skit, you are selling your brand. Maybe you're a motivational speaker. That is a brand, right? And that's a valuable offering. Right? So you must understand your target audience. You must understand your buyer intent. Right? The reason why they are taking that action, and there are different stages. There are different stages a potential customer would be when they come online, and we're going to be looking at that in a few seconds. Now, the first stage in the journey of the buyer intent is the awareness stage. Now, in this stage, this is the kind of question that comes into mind. I have a problem, but I'm just discovering or researching that problem. Here, your target audience or your prospective customer just realizes that, okay, I actually have a problem. I actually have a problem that needs a solution. And they're just the reason why they're online is to discover or research more on that problem, right? It's more like an exploratory stage. That's where your potential customer is. At this stage, the buyer just realized the need or a challenge that they probably did not know before, right? They are not ready to buy here. In the awareness stage, they are not ready to make any purchase. They are just looking for information to understand that problem better. Now, what you would do as a brand, or a business is to position yourself as an authority in that problem, in the sense that you are not going to provide a solution thereon. What you are doing here is to tell that prospective customer that I understand the challenge that you're going through. I understand the problem that you're having through. In fact, I have dealt with it. But you're not even going to put up any product or service there. You're not going to tell the person, no, okay, I offer. The first thing you're seeing there is, for example, someone says, I've just noticed that my dentition is not right, right? And then let's say for a dentist, right? And a dentist, and the way you want to position yourself immediately is to say, okay, I'm a dentist and I offer services that would make your dentation, I mean, the way your teeth is set, right, be okay and all that. No, what you want to do there is tell that customer that I understand, like, this is something I've done over the years. This is the reason why you have this problem. Probably you're not taking care of your teeth well, or this is where you were just born natural causes, you understand? But you want to establish yourself as an authority in this stage, right? Your potential customer must be able to view you as an authority in that field or that problem that they are researching. The goal here is to educate or create awareness of your brand as a helpful source of information. Note, you are not selling anything here, but your brand here is going to be seen. The way you want your customer to see your brand is that, okay, when I have this problem, or you were able to make me understand the reason why I have this problem or this challenge, right? So you're you want to position yourself or your brand as an authority, as a helpful source of information. So here you're going to create awareness about that problem, right? You're going to create awareness about that challenge. You're going to create awareness that your potential customers will be able to understand and relate to at this stage of the buyer intent, right? So the next stage, so there are a few examples of buyer intent that I've given here. Why isn't my website showing on Google? Best ways to increase Instagram engagement. Now, the kind of best content types at this awareness stage of the buyer intent is blog posts. Example, now to answer the question of why isn't my website showing on Google, the kind of content you put out is 10 reasons why your website isn't ranking on Google. That answers the question, right? Using infographics, which is a form of content I mentioned earlier. An example could be visual breakdown of search engine optimization basics. So maybe in 3 or 4 or 5 pictures, right? You're able to explain the um, basics of search engine optimization, what you need to understand, what is search engine optimization, and how you can apply it in your brand. Another kind of content type you can put out there is a social media educational content. And here is reels. You're looking at reels or carousels that teach simple tips, right? These 10 reasons why your website isn't ranking on Google can also be put as a carousel, right? Or an infographic, and you just look at it and you get you have value from that. So these are the kind type of contents that you put out at the awareness stage of a buyer intent. Now, this is a tip that you should put. I remember I said it. You are not selling yet. At this stage, you are not selling. You want to focus on teaching and establishing credibility. You want to establish yourself as an authority in that problem. So you're not selling anything. You just want to tell people that, okay, as I said, I have done this for a long time and I understand your problem. Right? I understand your problem. And you want to sound confident. You're not sounding like if you have done this or this. No, you're sounding as an authority. You're not selling, you are teaching, you are establishing credibility. People must be able to have that confidence that you know what you're saying, right? Now, the next stage in the buyer intent is the consideration stage. And here the problem is the kind of question that pops into the customer's head here, or the buyer's head here is, I understand my problem. This is where he is. This is the stage where he is now. He now understands the problem, and here is exploring possible solutions. Here, the buyer is actively looking for solutions and weighing options. They are comparing products, services, or approaches to solve their problem. So after you must have created that awareness, when the customer has realized, I have a problem that needs solving, the next stage is the consideration stage. Now, the customer or the client or the buyer has understood that he has a problem and is now exploring possible solutions to that problem, right? So here the buyer is actively looking for solutions. They are saying, okay, will I take A or B? Will I take eat poundo yam or will I take Gary? Do you understand? So you're comparing products. You're comparing 2 different products and seeing how they are going to solve your problem. For example, let me say you are a driver. You're saying, okay, do I use the liquefied CNG? Do I think of switching to CNG, or maybe for your as a source of power, or you're using solar, or you're using fuel, right? So here the buyer is contemplating, do I use this or that? Your goal here is to position your valuable offering or your brand as one of the best solutions available. So remember I said in the first stage, which is the awareness stage, you're not making any sales, but here you must be able to position that your brand, that's your offering, that valuable, that thing of value that you want to sell eventually. You must be able to position it as the best solution available, right? These are the things that will make me stand. This is what makes my product better than any other thing that you're going to see in the market. This is what makes my service better. I give faster returns, faster responses rather. You understand? You must be able to position your brand as the best solution. Right? That's what you want to do on this stage. So let's look at some examples. A buyer intent here. Top digital marketing tools for beginners. Best freelance platform for side income. And the kind of content types that you want to put out here is comparison guides, Mailchimp, which is a digital marketing tool, or ConvertKit, which is better for beginners. Now, the question that he is trying to answer is top digital marketing tools for beginners. So you put out a blog or an article and you're saying Mailchimp versus ConvertKit, which is better for beginners, right? And that's just a blog post. and you just put it out there, and probably you are your organization is Mailchimp, right? And you just put it out there and you just compare, okay, so this is what you get in Mailchimp, this is not what you get in Mailchimp, and you just put it out there, and the person is able to make the decision, an informed decision there on what is the best possible solution for that problem that the person has gotten to know about, right? Another type of content you want to put out here is case studies. You want to show how you helped someone similar in that similar problem succeed. Client testimonials. These are things, this is where you put those kind of, at this stage of the buyer intent, right? These are where testimonials or your history of what you've done, the things that you've done before, the things, the successful, the way you've been able to prefer that solution or help a client, right? These are where the case studies of such natures, this is where it comes into play, right? Another type of content you want to put out at this stage of the buyer intent is tutorials and how-to videos. Example, how to run your first Facebook ad, step by step, right? You want to put out a kind of article that shows somebody how to run your Facebook ad step by step. And let's say, for example, when you finish putting that, you now tell, okay, so I actually, I offer this kind of service, right? Now, the content strategy tip here is to show value and differentiate your offering from competitors. Remember, I said the goal here is to make sure that your valuable offering or your content is the best. That's the best that the customer is going to get online. That's how you want to position your brand, right? Is how you want to position your brand or your organization. The next stage in the buyer intent is the decision stage. Now, after the buyer must have understood that he has a problem, he has now considered the options available, the solutions available, right? The next stage is one where the buyer makes that decision. Yeah, the buyer is saying, I have found a few options. I just need to be sure before I buy or commit. Buyers at this stage are ready to take action, but need confidence and proof that your solution is the right one. Here also, the kind of content that you put, as we're going to be seeing in the next few seconds, is testimonials. This is why testimonials will come more into play, right? Now, the goal here is to build trust and remove doubts. You want to encourage conversion. That is the goal that you want to carry out in the decision stage of the buyer intent. Example, the customer reviews for XYZ course, right? When you want to download an app, or in fact, when you want to get anything online, when you even go to any service, you will see customer reviews on that. Even for scholarship opportunities, for example, Cambridge, or Commonwealth. Go on there, you're going to see, or even for fellowships, you're going to see their past fellows or their present fellows or people that have been recipients of that scholarship platform. All those things are forms of content that creates it gives confidence to the prospective buyer, right? Here, the customer reviews, the kind of content types that you're putting here, as I said, is testimonials. Real words from past customers build trust. So more than just writing, because the truth is that anybody can just come up there and put anything on a site. You see, one thing that will make you sell faster rather, is the ability to have visual content from your customers, right? From whatever, and this is not just limited to physical goods, services, and even brands. You will see people putting up videos like, oh, I was able to relate to this person's content, or this person's book, or this person's write-up, or this person's spoken word that you put out there, and it helped me at this time. That is a testimonial. And then you go to products and services. Try to make sure that when you make your services and goods, and then your customers are giving you reviews, right? If possible, ask that they give you visual content. okay, this is how I was. Maybe you're into skincare, and a lot of skincare brands. I'm sure for our ladies in the house, we've seen this a whole lot. This is how my skin was week 1, and they're giving you week 2, they're giving you week 3, and they're telling you, oh, this is working. And you can see it in real time. You can see the visual content that this is working. You'll be more prompted to buy from that brand than a brand that just writes and tells you, okay, this so customer said I used it and this is what happened, right? So try testimonials, especially video testimonials, work best in this stage of the buyer intent. And then product videos and demos show the product in actions, features, and benefits. People, for example, they want to be able to, as I said, remember, one of the goals is building trust and relatability. So your audience needs to be able to know that they are dealing with a human being. And I'm sure most of us have seen things that we call BTS videos, right? Has any of us seen, or do we understand what BTS videos mean? Have you ever seen that? Have you come across that? If we just use an emoji to respond, right? So BTS videos are behind the scenes videos, right? They're behind the scenes videos, and BTS videos here shows customers. Initially, this was not something that was brands wanted to put themselves as put together. Everything is okay now, but with time, people started saying that, okay, so that I can relate that this is also a human being. This is also someone that makes mistakes, and then you see them putting out BTS behind the scenes videos to the perfection that you've seen. You see a very beautiful video, you see a very beautiful content, and you still see the behind the scene, the cuts, the parts that they did not put out there, and that is also content. And trust me, people will even relate more to that content. Why? Because they can see that they are dealing with a human being, that their insecurities are not just pertaining to them, but they can see those kind of insecurities in you, and then that's any form of anything that will make them relate to you, right? It's something that you can put out there. It's something that you can use to push your brand, right? So here you want to show a step-by-step process. Let me say, for example, we all know Vicky James, right? For our ladies too in the house, right? And then, not just Vicky James, there are a whole lot of fashion designers there. Before you will just see the finished work, they're just going to tell you, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is nice. This is how this clothes came out. No, but these days, you will see them giving you a detailed storytelling of how they went to the market, they sourced the material, the kind of wahala they went through, how they haggled price, how the customer came and said, no, this is not what I want, and they had to go over again. And you're looking at that and you're saying, oh, so this is the kind of intentionality that this person puts into the product. It gives you an understanding of how that product comes about, and just you seeing the finished product, you are part of it. You feel that you are part of that process. In fact, it's next time when you want to make a purchase, you'll be more moved or more interested in making a purchase from that person you can relate to, right? So at this stage of the buyer intent, right, product videos and demonstrations, when you see demos, what it means, demonstrations are these are kind of contents that sell more. Limited time offers or guarantees. This kind of contents create urgency and assurance, right? Where you want to, for those in the trading, there's something we call fear of missing out, FOMO, right? So you kind of create an urgency. You see a product and they tell you selling out or 2 units remaining. It's not any 2 units remaining. No, they're just creating a sense of urgency, right? For you to say, I don't want to miss out from this. I don't want to miss out from this opportunity. And so you are driving them. They want your clients or potential customer would want to buy, right? At this decision-making stage, when the customer says, let me say he was considering or he has already considered, and then he's like, I'm not sure, maybe I'll buy it next week. And then the next content you're putting out is saying, 3 units left. That person will look for money to go and get, even if he didn't want to make that decision before, just because, okay, I don't want to miss out from this offer, right? The content strategy tip here is to focus on conversion, strong calls to action, CTAs, which is what we call calls to action, clear benefits, and trust signals. You must be very clear on what the customer is getting from you, from your brand, from your product, right? You must be very clear about it. And one thing I want to reiterate here is do not put out a content, whether written, whether audio, whether it's visual, without putting a strong call to action. Do not assume that your customer or your target audience knows the next action to take. Direct that your client on or potential customer or audience on the next action to take. For example, you put out a post on LinkedIn, on any social media platform, let's say on YouTube. You always see like, share, repost, or even on Facebook, like, share, repost. That is a call to action. If it's a call to action, can come in different forms. Let me say you want to create engagements, right, for a post. You can ask a question. That's a call to action. Let me say you put you put out an article on a topic, and then you're saying, do you agree with me? And then you see people in the comment section, oh yes, I agree, oh yes, I relate, this also happened to me. You know, when this thing happened to me, this is the way it happened. What you said is actually true, right? You understand? These are ways, these are calls to action. Must not be come and buy now. No, remember we said that by the time you have built trust, you can now increase sales exponentially. Right? So you must always remember, I said, in any content you're putting out, make sure that there is a call to action. Do not assume that your audience, that your customer knows the next thing to do after reading. You put out a very wonderful content there, and there is nothing that the customer will just, slide to the next one, because there are millions of contents out there. So you must be able to direct your clients or your customer or the buyer on the action to take. Right? If he's making a purchase, maybe after he must have gone, you've taken him through all the stages of buying, right? He's making a purchase, right? You must be able to put the right call to action there that will tell the customer, okay, this is what you should actually do, right? Reach out to us on our WhatsApp. There are a whole lot of content or actions that a client will take after you must have successfully taken the buyer throughout all the stages of the buyer intent. Now, why does buyer intent matter in digital marketing? Number one is matching your content to the right stage. It helps you attract the right audience. Right? When you understand the buyer's intention and where they are in each of that stage, or where they are, the state they are in their intention, right? The actions they want to take online, right? You must create content that serves both the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision stage. Make sure that your content, at least not one content that serves all, no, but this content maybe today serves for those that are not sure, for those are in the awareness stage. They're just realizing that they have a problem, and they're trying to understand, okay, why do I have this problem? Like, they're trying to make research. Another content of yours on your page, on your website, should answer the question or give value to those who are in the consideration stage. Another one should be for those who are in the decision stage, and this is where you put finally where you put the strong call to action. You put a call to action, either they are buying, they are following, they are liking, they are resharing your post, right? So you must be able to put out content that serves the three stages of the buyer intent. And I said here that matching your content to the right stage is very important. That's one of the importance of buyer intent. It also helps you build trust over time. Another thing is that you move prospects smoothly from learning, comparing, to eventually buying, right? You're moving them stage by stage. You're building trust, and you're moving them smoothly from learning, they compare, and then they finally make the decision to make a purchase. Now, finally, is one of the importance of buyer intent is that it improves conversion rates. You're not rushing the sale. You are building trust, which is going to bring out more sales for you over time, right? So let's look at how to create a simple content strategy. Before you go into any content that you want to create, you must have a strategy, right? He who fails to plan plans to fail. We all agree that, right? So for you to carry out any content, there must be a strategy. You don't just wake up in the morning and you say, okay, today the kind of content I'm going to do, it will be um a visual content or an infographic. No, you must have a strategy, you must have a plan that you've laid out. Your content strategy should be able to be sufficient for you the least a month. I mean that by January 1st, you have content planned for the 31st day of January. That's how we know that you are a serious digital marketer. That's how we know that you're a serious content strategist, right? That you must be able to have a plan that you follow so that you don't do rush work, so that you don't just put out anything there, right? So it's not magic. All these contents you see, for example, sometimes sorry so sometimes you see some contents that are put out there and you're wondering how were people able to come up with this thing so fast. They did not come up with that content immediately or that night before, right? Where you see contents that you relate to, sometimes they've worked on it weeks before you see the final work, right? So you must have a content strategy, and that's what we're going to be looking at next. Just put down your questions, please, for those of us who are going to have questions, right? I'll try to see that we finish this before 8 o'clock, but if not, you can just put off your questions and then we'll look at it, right? I'll look at them later and then we'll give answers to them. Is that fine with us?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you. So let's look at the how to create a simple content strategy, right? Number one, the most important thing, number one, is defining your audience. Remember, I said you create a persona, a buyer, understanding. So you want to define the audience, the person that you are making that content for. This is the foundation of any marketing effort. It is the first part of any marketing effort or campaign that you want to do. A buyer persona is a semi-fictional profile, is a semi-fictional profile of your ideal customer. And this fictional profile, when I say fictional, I mean it is not real. It's something that is concocted in your head. It's something that you put out in your head, right? And the way you get this fictional profile or this probable customer is not by guesswork. It is done through a customer-based market research using view data and insights, right? When you make your posts on LinkedIn, or you book your post on any social media platform, it's a place where you look at impressions, you look at analytics, you want to look at how that your post performed. Even on WhatsApp, for those of us who are using WhatsApp business, right? They'll tell you, okay, you've seen a 15% increase in engagement on your status. All those things are real-time data, and it's not just data that they are putting out there for just putting out six. It's to tell you that, okay, so I had a 15% increase in my engagements this week. Why? What type of content did I put out? That informs you that, okay, people prefer this kind of content. They relate more to this kind of content. And so maybe you were putting different contents that were not that, right? The next thing you want to do is that you start pushing out those ones that did not give you the kind of reach that week gave you, right? So you must define your audience, and in doing that, in creating a buyer persona or that semi-fictional profile, it's done on market research, real data and insights. Very important. Now, why is it important that you define your audience? You need to know who you are talking to, so your content can speak directly to their needs. You must understand those that you are talking to. any content you are creating must have an end user in mind. Any product that is you are being creating, you must have people that you want to sell to. You do not create a product or a content and then you now start looking for the solution. No, it is after you must have seen or discovered a problem that you now go back to create a solution, right? And once you're able to solve that problem, you now make sales. So it is very important. That's why I said it is the basis, it's the foundation of any marketing effort you're making. Define your audience, right? You need to understand the audience, the buyer. So this is the foundation of whatever other marketing efforts that you want to make. Now let's look at what to include in a basic persona, in that semi-fictional profile of your buyer, right? For example, a name. The first thing there is a name, and the name of this our fictional persona is Grace the Graduate. The age of, and the next is the age, right? And the age of this persona is between 22 to 30. So that means Grace the Graduate can be any of the ages from 22 to 30. Our product is going to speak to those who are within that age range, all things being equal, right? Because I'm saying all things being equal because they are outliers. They are those who may not conform, very, very, very little percentage, but they may not conform to this persona. But we are making sure that we've gotten the bigger percentage of those who would conform to that persona. Now, what is the job of Grace the Graduate, who is our fictional person of profile that we're looking at here? She's a recent graduate or early career professional. And what are her pain? What are her problems? She wants to get a good job, but she lacks experience. Remember, just be with me, we're getting somewhere. Now, the goal of this persona is to learn new skills and stand out to employees. Remember, her name is Grace the Graduate, right? And she's a recent graduate. And so her goal is to learn new skills or stand out to employers. The platform that she wants to use to explore the solutions is Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube. The preferred content that this fictional persona is going to look for is short videos, practical tips, or relatable stories, right? Remember that her goal is to learn new skills and stand out to employers. So it will be more important. I mean, it's only natural that, you want to learn a new thing. Where do you go to? YouTube with regards to video, right? As a graduate, of course, she has to have a LinkedIn account, right? So these are platforms where your contents are going to stand out. These are kind of contents that are going to stand out to Grace, right? And the tip that we're going to use here, something you should use, if you're targeting small business owners, your tone and platform would be different from when you're targeting students or teenagers, right? So it's not the same. There's no one fit profile for all. That's why you must understand the audience or the person that you're creating that content, that valuable offering, that product for, right? You must be able to understand that person. So tip is, if you're targeting, as I said before, if you're targeting small businesses, your tone will be and platform will be different. Right? It's different from, let me say, for example, you want to target people who are in the older demographic, let me say 79 to 80. You also know that, where you see most of our octogenarians and those who fall into that age or demographic is Facebook, right? I'm sure most of us, our parents will have send us, most of the content they send us is from Facebook. You would agree with me. Some of their reposting is straight from Facebook. Those are where they see their kind of content, right? So if those are the people that you have in mind, you know that immediately that's the platform that you're going to be looking at. It's when you're creating that valuable offering, right? Okay, so the next thing we're going to be looking at is, in creating the content strategy, is choosing your goal. Why are you creating that content? Why does it need to be done? Why does it need to be created? Now, your content must serve a very specific purpose. Without a clear goal, even beautiful content won't move your brand forward. You must have a goal. as to why you are making that content, right? Without a clear goal, you just put out content there and then no one is going to be engaging with it. And all your efforts would have just been to waste. So you must have a goal. Why am I creating this content? Who do I want to create this content for? By the time they finish looking at this content, are they going to buy my goods? Or by the time they see two contents from me, are they going to opt in for my service? Or are they going to find joy in the kind of content I'm putting out there? Let's say I'm a creative, for example, I'm a creative, and let's say I put out skits there. At the end, what kind of message am I trying to pass on to my audience or my community, right? So your content must have a goal. Let's look at some common content goals. Brand awareness. You want to let people know that you exist. So you may put out content to create awareness. Okay, oh, this is a brand, this is my business, this is what I do, these are the kind of things, these are kind of solutions that I offer to your problems. So your content can create, it may be targeted at creating brand awareness. Another type of content you can put out there, or content goal you can have in mind while creating your content, is to have engagement. You want to start conversation and build relationships. Remember when I said that you create a content on article and then you're putting up a question. Do you agree with me? Have you had an experience like this? Please share your experiences in the comment section, right? That makes you understand now. By now you understand that that person is not just putting a question there to ask. No, that person is putting that question there so that you can create engagement, and you see them replying in the comment section. Oh, thank you for engaging. Oh, yes, I relate to it. You understand? Another content goal you may have is to drive traffic. You want to drive people to your website or your landing page. And I'm sure we understand that this kind of content is with relation to search engine optimization, search engine marketing, websites, and all that, right? So that could be a kind of content. So this kind of content will come in form of blogs, articles, and then you put the links, backlinks to your website, right? So you put an article there and you're like, click on this site or click on this link to have more information, or to go to our website where we offer the solution that you are looking for, right? So that's another type of goal you can have in mind when creating a content. Another type of goal is lead generation. Now, with regards to email marketing, remember when I said that you're going through an article and then they tell you put in your email here to get newsletters. If you enjoyed this article, put in your email so that you have more, you get more articles like this, right? And then you're generating leads. Maybe you want to collect phone numbers, you want to collect emails, you want to make inquiries. That is what's called lead generation. Those numbers, those emails will eventually, by the time you've taken them through the stages of, you follow them through the different stages in their buyer intention. Essentially, at the end, the goal is that they will make purchase, right? Another type of content is sales conversion and then education. You want to either turn your followers into paying customers, right? After you must have built awareness, you've created engagement, you've driven traffic to your site, you've collected leads, and you want to turn followers to now customers. Remember when I said that skit makers will not give you, in fact, brands, not just skit makers. It's more example. A perfect example is skit makers will not bring any brand to you in their first 6 months of creating content. By the time they have built their community, you see different brands flooding their pages because they have created trust. They now have followers. They can tell you go and you go, move and you move, and then you get those goods from those brands, right? So another content you can put is to create sales and conversion. This is where you turn your followers into paying customers. And another type of content goal is education. You want to teach your audience something valuable. An example here, if your goal is engagement, your post should encourage comments, polls, or responses. Remember when I said you ask those questions, e.g., which do you prefer, A or B? Like you give a post and then there's a comparison there. You say, so which do you prefer? Do you want A or B? And the responses you get will now tell you how to tailor the product or the service that you're going to be making next, or the type of content that you'll be making next, right? Okay, so number three that we'll be looking at on content strategies that you can follow is, or steps for content strategies, to pick your platform. Remember that I said that not every platform is right for the kind of demographic or business that you are doing, or in fact, the kind of content, not even business, the type of content that you're doing, right? So there are different contents for different platforms. For example, you cannot put a short form video, though YouTube now has YouTube Shorts, which was an early creation, like a very more recent creation rather. You cannot see, if you're looking for long form videos, it's YouTube. You cannot put long videos on TikTok. It's just going to be, when it's not even a live streaming, you're just going to put it for yourself. Yeah, nobody's going to watch it. In fact, what is 5? A minute into itself is enough time if they're giving you on TikTok. But when you put it on YouTube, you're going to generate more engagement, right? So, for example, you want to put out a job ad. Where would be the best platform for you to do that? Instagram or LinkedIn? For a job ad, you could just use your the chat box to answer, right? So if you're putting out a job ad, where would be the best platform for you to do that?
It definitely has to be LinkedIn.
Thank you so much for that, right? Yeah, so Jefflo is also saying LinkedIn. So it has to be LinkedIn, right? So also, yes, LinkedIn. We all agree that it's LinkedIn, right? So also, right, if you wanted to put out a skit that people will laugh to, and then you're not gonna put it on LinkedIn, you've just made a very beautiful content for the wrongest reasons, or you've made a good content for the good reasons and you've put it in the wrong platform. You're not going to get any engagement, right? So you must be able to pick out the right platform for the right contents that you are making. Now, not every platform, as I said, is right for every business. Choose where your target audience is active and where your content type fits best, right? When we look at the content calendar that we're going to go over in a few seconds, right? We're going to see that it's not every day that you post in the same platform. Every day you're posting as a business or a brand or a personality, and you're posting in one setting or in all platforms. No, there are different platforms or different contents for different platforms, and you must be able to remember the goal is visibility. So you must be able to utilize all those platforms to put out yourself there. Don't say because of we are into this certain kind of niche, then probably you are a professional organization. I'm sure we've all seen professional organizations on having contents on Instagram, having contents on TikTok, jumping on trends, and I mean professional organization in all their rights, right? And you're seeing their contents on TikTok, you're seeing their contents on Instagram. So don't say because I'm into a certain kind of niche, I will not know. The goal is visibility. So you're going to use every platform to increase that visibility, increase awareness, but you're not going to use all platforms for all contents. There are specific platforms that you use for specific contents. I hope we've been following and we're able to get that right. Okay, so let's look at some common platforms and what works best for those platforms. So this is a table. As I said, I'm going to share the content, the material, and we can go over at our own time. So we'll just breeze through. So we're looking at the platform, the best kind of content, and then the best demographic or target audience rather, and then the ideal content that will be best for them. So we're looking at Instagram for the kind of organization or brands. There will be visual brands, and then the users are younger users. The kind of content, reels, carousel stories. LinkedIn, B2B here means business to business, right? And business to business and professionals. And the kind of content are articles, career tips, and infographics. Facebook, you're looking at community groups and diverse users. The kind of content you want to go on live, that's the lives, long captions, and then offers. On Twitter that has become X, you're looking at the kind of contents that are best for their news and trends. If there is any, in fact, these days, more than news platforms, the traditional news platforms that you have, right? If you want to jump, if you want to understand what is happening in real time, trust me, if you're on X, you're going to be very current. And I'm saying news that cuts across every climb and sector, not just entertainment. Like as it is happening, you are getting updates there. That is the beauty of digital marketing. That's the beauty of of having insights in real time. So for news and trends, the best platform is Twitter, right? Threads, here you kind of see threads, short thoughts, and then you see polls. Then for YouTube, in-depth content, educational content, tutorials, explainers, vlogs. Vlogs are just video logs, right? So all these things, where the best platform you see it is on YouTube. And finally, TikTok for the Gen Zs and short videos. Here, the kind of content you see is challenges, hacks, trends. Trends are coming up every day, right? They are changing every other minute. And the best platforms where you see that is on TikTok. Right now, so let's look at this tip. You want to start with one or two platforms and then grow. It is better to be strong on one platform than weak everywhere. I'll give you a very good example. Now, there's this content creator I follow. I know she just recently got married. Diary of a Nigerian Girl, Dang, Ife Oluwa, right? I think sometime in the middle of last year, she came into Twitter. No, she came into LinkedIn rather. So where she's more prevalent in was Facebook and Instagram. And then she came into LinkedIn, and you're like, what is she doing in LinkedIn? But when you looked at the way she introduced herself, and because she has been able to build a following on LinkedIn, on Facebook or tweet or Instagram, what she just has to do is, oh, my followers are moving to LinkedIn. Oh, come, let's go and make that place bubble, right? And on LinkedIn, she's putting the right kind of content, she's giving the right kind of content there, and the same followers, she's able to build a community, she has a base, right? So it's always good to start with one or two platforms, like concentrate on one or two platforms at first and grow it, especially as a brand. You must not be everywhere. Start with one or two platforms, grow it, have a following, and then you can now take that community. Trust me, when you move to any other platform, they are moving with you. You're going to also see them to also create people that will be able to relate with your content. Number 4 is you want to plan your content. This is the number 4 step in the content strategy. You want to plan your content. This is where you bring your ideas to life. Here, you're using a content plan or a content calendar, which helps you stay organized, consistent, and strategic. Remember, I said that a serious brand, is not going to be putting their content even weekly. Like the contents for next week, this Monday we're entering, should have been ready by December 31st. In fact, December 31st is even late because it has to go through. Let me say, if you are not a one-man business, and even if you're a one-man business, you have to go over it, make sure that the contents are right, that they are speaking to the right audience. There are things that need to go into place. So a content calendar, a content plan helps you to be organized. It helps you to be consistent and strategic. Now, what you want to include in a basic plan is the dates, and this is when the post will go, like when it will become live, the platform you're going to use, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube, the kind of post. Is it a reel? Is it a carousel? Is it a quote? Is it a blog post? The topic or theme, what is that content about? The example I gave you is benefits of digital skills. So your content should have a topic, a theme that reverberates around that whole content. There's a theme that the whole content is that is driving the whole content, right? And when people read that content, that article, or watch that video, they can say, okay, so this is the message that this person is trying to pass on towards, like this message the person, this content creator is trying to pass along, right? Another thing to include is the goal of that post. Are you putting out that content for engagement? Do you want to teach? Do you want to make conversions, which are sales, right? And finally, a strong call to action. Remember, I said you do not put out any type of content without putting a strong call to action. It can be sign up. That is with relation to creating leads for your email marketing, right? Comment below in any of the platforms. It could be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, comment below or click on the link which takes you to your organization or the website or wherever link you want to lead the person to. Click on the link to come to make your orders on WhatsApp. Click on the link to check out our website and make your orders. Click on the link, So click on the link in the description. Click on the link in the description box below. You see a lot of that on YouTube. Those are strong calls. Those are calls to actions. Remember, I told you that you should not assume that your customer or your potential client knows the next action to take. You are an authority and you must be able to tell your clients, okay, so after reading this wonderful content or seeing this wonderful content, this is what I want you to do. This is what you want to do. Because you're not controlling or directing the person per se. You're only shoving or giving the person a head on to say, okay, this is what you should do. This is something that will make you see this content next time, so you don't miss out on it, right? Okay, so this is an example of a content plan or a content calendar, as we love to say it. As you can see, we can see the date, platform, the post type, the topic or theme, the goal, and then the call to action, right? And on Monday, this organization is going to be posting on Instagram, or this brand will be posting on Instagram, and the kind of post they will have is a carousel post. The topic or theme is 5 free tools for digital marketers. And the goal of this content is going to be education, and the call to action is save this. Now, this is just a very simple content calendar, right? And we can see for Wednesday, we can see for Friday. What I wanted to say is you can, in addition to this, actually add, especially when it's written content, add the content there or a link to that content. Because when you're working with a team and you are the one in charge of creating the content calendar, or you are the head digital marketer there, right? It must be such that you've created a system that even if you were to fall sick, the system is there. So if someone just comes, your team comes and they check your content calendar and they're like, okay, so this is the post that is supposed to go on today. Anybody can make that post. Do we get that? So that is one of the goals too of having a content calendar or plan. Right? When it's put in place, it flows whether you are there or not. In fact, these days it's automated. You can create content, and on social media platforms, and then you set the dates when they are going to be put out or let live. And there are tools, marketing tools you can use for that. HubSpot, there are a whole lot of tools that you can use for that. You automate it. Once it's that day, which is the best practice. Once it's that day, because we are human beings, we are subject to a whole lot of mistakes and things could happen, right? But once it's automated, whether you are there or not, and you must have done your due diligence, you've checked, you've done everything, it goes live on its own. It makes your work easy, right? But so that you don't come and start fretting over the content to put out a day to that day. Imagine that on Sunday evening, a Sunday like this, is when we are now going to collect approvals from your head, from either the head of marketing or the head of customer engagement, or and you want to see, okay, if this aligns with the company's goals and all that, and they're telling you no, the night to when you're supposed to post on Monday, it's just going to make your work very, very troublesome and hectic as a digital marketer. So try, even if your top management is telling you they are sluggish, be the person that is pushing it, because you know what you are saying ahead, you know what you want to achieve. Make sure that your work, you see, they can make complaints about everything, but your work should be valuable. Your work should not have anything, they should not have any complaint about your work. And the only way you can do that, be organized and have the right content as at when you, is using your content calendar. So I'm going to share this material with us, and then we can go over it at our own time. Okay, so on a final note, right? I can see we use our time well. On a final note, building a content strategy doesn't require fancy tools. It requires clarity. It doesn't require you using the best of tools. If you go back, there are some tools I mentioned here. There are tools like Notion, Google Sheets, Trello, and these are tools that you use to plan your content, to make your content calendar, right, or to plan your content either monthly, right, or bi-weekly. In fact, weekly there is actually very, very wrong. Please plan your, in case you decide to take on a role as a content strategist, right? Or that's what your role now pertains to. Try that your contents are planned at least 1 month ahead. Look at the holidays that are going to be coming up. Make your researches and make your contents to go on. It just removes a whole lot of problem from you, a whole lot of fire brigade approach to creating content. Because you see, when you make content using that fire brigade approach, you want to reach out to the graphic designer in night, and they're making changes because there are going to be mistakes, there are going to be changes there. So it is very nice. It's more best practices. You do this early on, you make those changes, and they are there, such that whether you are on seat or you are not, right? And this is not about you. You may now be thinking, does it not beg the question to them to see that, okay, I'm not really doing or I'm not needed here? No. In fact, as a digital marketer, most times you're not supposed to be in on site. You work remotely, right? And so these are the things that you use. These are the ways that you make your work. This is how you increase efficiency, right? Any forward-thinking manager, any forward-thinking top-level management would know that, oh, this person is efficient. This person that has planned this is efficient, right? So these are the best practices you want to do. Create your content calendar at least. I say the least is a month, right? Is a month. That's the least you want to do. 2 months, 3 months, but the least is a month. Please do not do a week or a day. Right? If there's anything you're taking from this, aside from every other thing that you've taken with regards to content marketing or content creation rather, right, and management, make sure that you're creating your content. You have a content calendar you're following, and you're using that time. So you want to start small and define who you're speaking to. You want them to know where to post and what to say. So if you look at the calendar that we just finished, if you look at that calendar, you can easily tell the date you want to post, the kind of platform, and it answers all those questions. So this was supposed to be a practical session, but our time is up. So what is going to happen is I'm going to share this content and this material. You go through, and then you do the practical session, or you do the assignment, right? I'm going to give us directories at the end of the course for us to go through, where we can have practical videos for those who want further studies, on this, right? So it's a very, very easy. If you go through the material, you'll be able to. It's just a very simple thing. You choose a product, right? You define the target audience, outline 3 content ideas, then you design 1 sample post, right? We may actually leave that number 4 because I've not shown. I don't know if everyone here can use Canva. I'm not sure. So you may just or just leave this practical session. I think that's better. Let's leave this practical session and just go straight to the assignment. And you can see this will be due before week 2. What I want you to do here is pick a brand or business, whether real or imaginary, maybe your own personal brand. You're going to create a short profile of their target audience. You develop a 3-day content calendar, such as the one that I just showed you. You submit a written version of one of the posts, right? And then you write 1 paragraph explaining what the goal of your content is, right? And so you submit it in either a Google Doc or PDF, and you use it to the email there, right? At this moment, we are done with the class, and I would want to ask, how has it been? Do we have any questions so far? Okay, so up until this moment, I hope we've been able to follow up on everything that we've gone through today. Today we've been looking at successfully looked at the introduction to digital marketing. We went through the history and how it's evolved to where we are today, and then we've looked at content marketing, right? Content creation and what it means and how it can be of benefit to us as a brand, as a personality, or as a business, right? So as I said, I would actually encourage you to go through this material and please take your assignments seriously. It's only in practicing that you'll be able to build up a repertoire or directory of things that you've done. You're able to build up muscle to understand that you've understood what you've learned, right? So I'll be sharing some links to where we can have further knowledge for those of us who are interested on that on the platform. But so far so good. Thank you all for staying to this time of this class. It's really been a good one on my own end. I hope you've enjoyed the class as much as I have, right? So I still said, if you have any questions, you can, now would be the best time for us to go over them. Okay, so okay, so I'll take it that there are no questions so far, right? As I said, thank you all for joining this class. Okay, someone has a question. Philippa, where is it? And okay, Theophilus, please unmute your mic, Philippa. I hope I got that right.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
So I was going to ask, right? The assignment has to be, I presume the next class will have to be next weekend, right?
Yes, next weekend.
So the assignment has to be ready on or before then.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay then. Theophilus, you had a question. Is it possible to manage two different contents that you? I'm not sure I got your question.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I said, is it possible for you to manage, like you have an idea of two different contents like this? Based on your explanation, you are mentioning, when you are into content, you must be strictly on the particular role for you to be able to engage your audience. So that my question here is that what in a situation where you have two different content ideas that you're actually good at, can you be able to manage the two?
Different content ideas for one brand.
No, for two different brands.
Of course. If you can successfully manage it, I said there are different platforms for the content you're putting out there. So if I'm not sure I get you correctly, but if you're saying manage two different contents you have, are you saying one idea for two contents?
Oh, it's not one idea for two content. Like you have two different ideas on two different content. That's what I mean.
Okay, and then you're asking if you can manage it as a
Yes.
digital marketer or a content strategist.
Yeah, as a content strategist.
Yes, that's why you even need to have a content calendar. It gives you time to work on other projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Josiah, you are asking. Okay, yeah. So the practical session, because of time, right? As I said, I'm going to give us links that we can use to follow up, right? That's going to help us. Videos, links to videos we can watch, and then that would explain in visual representation. Please, Theophilus, if you turn off your mic, I'd appreciate that. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to drop links for us on that, or the administrator will drop the links rather, right? Where we would follow up, and then we can have a whole lot of videos we can watch. Because of time, we will not be able to take the practical session for this and subsequent classes, right? So what we're going to use for that is going to be the for the ones we can't. I'm going to try as much as possible to see maybe from subsequent class an hour this and an hour for practicals, right? Just a little practical, because it's not even going to be so in depth to that level of which I would want. So those video directories would help you to have a better understanding of or would serve as the practical session. Are you good with that, Josiah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So yes, for the assignment, I said pick up use either a brand. I would actually encourage you to use your personal brand or a brands that we can relate to, or brands that are already existing, but you can actually make any brand in your mind. If you look around and you don't see a brand, which I doubt that you can actually create a content for, then by all means, you can form a brand in your mind, a potential or what you think an ideal brand would be, and create a content for them. Wonderful. I hope that Merit, that answers your question. Okay, so thank you all for your time. We've already exhausted our 2 hours. I want to believe that this 2 hours we've used has been of great benefit to us, and that we have a little understanding. We have an understanding as to how important digital marketing is. It's important how we came to where we are today, and the role of content marketing in digital marketing. So till we see again next week, thank you all for your time. I remain Chidozie Ferdinand, and this is me taking a bow out.